The news breaking this morning in the New York Post that, according to them, George Stephanopoulos was warned by his executive producer not to use the word rape in describing what a jury had found Trump civilly liable for. That his producer had said to him, it was not rape, don't call it rape, and it appears he ignored that advice. Now, here's this is very interesting because to me, it just shows the depths of hatred, like Fani Willis, that George Stephanopoulos has for Trump. Their flagship anchor. I mean, he and David Muir, whom we all saw his performance at the debate, are the two main guys over there. And so here's what the Post reports in an exclusive. Stephanopoulos was repeatedly told by his executive producer not to use the word rape before going on air, but the ABC News anchor ignored the warning. This week's producer, because he said this on his Sunday show, said, "Don't use the word rape," that's in quotes, before the segment started, a network source told the Post. The EP said it, quote, so many times. A second source at the show, listen to this, confirmed via a text message viewed by the Post that Stephanopoulos was warned not to say rape. So this Post has seen some sort of text message in which a second source somehow confirms that George was told not to say rape. Could it be they saw a text message to George, confirming it? Or could the EP, somebody wrote down, understanding this was problematic, that they had made a record. They told George not to do this. He did it. And now you've got an ABC spokesperson saying to CNN, oh, that's not true. It's absolutely not true that he was warned. Well, these spokespeople lie through their teeth all the time. You can't believe one word any of them say at Fox, at NBC, and at ABC. Trust me, not to mention CNN. But it's very interesting to me that they're saying they've got it confirmed by two separate sources inside ABC that he was told. And honestly, Victor, if that's true, I don't want to hear one more word from anybody about why did ABC News settle? People think they had a shot at winning. First of all, they didn't, because it's very clear he wasn't found civilly liable for rape. But second of all, you've got the EP saying, I told him not to do it, and he insisted on doing it 10 times in one segment. What do you make of it?
Well, they settled because they probably had internal, anytime these big corporations settle like that in a controversial case, they do it because they don't want their internal communications, as you know, subpoenaed. And there was probably back and forth text, emails that were incriminating both to Stephanopoulos and ABC. But the question is, if you really believe that you had warned him that, and that you had textual documentation of that, and you might even have more upon discoveries, why didn't you just fire him and say, you know what, We're not responsible? And the answer is they just gave him a $20 million multi-year contract. So what they're basically saying, we would rather have this pathological liar be a representative because we don't have anybody else in the morning and he gets us ratings. So we're willing to pay, even though we pay him $20 million, we'll pay the $15 million. It's small cash for Disney Corporation. And we don't really care that he goes on there and says it. And he probably will do it again. And we will pay as long as it's not too much. And I think that's the cynical attitude.
That's really true, because look at the David Muir and Lindsay Davis suffered absolutely no consequences as a result of that disastrous debate. Martha Raddatz of ABC is the one who was like, the Venezuelan gangs have only invaded a couple of apartment buildings. Yes. No problem. She's fine with them. This is a Bob Iger problem, obviously the man who's transing Disney right now.
There's also another strain I think it's really important is that they're angry about him, not for the sentiment. They agree with the sentiment. They deep down decide they don't care whether the jury or the judge or whatever the actual terminology was that he was. They hate Donald Trump. So they're not saying to George Stephanopoulos, how dare you accuse somebody falsely of raping when after a lengthy trial and civil suit, it showed that he didn't. They don't care about that because they probably would do the same thing privately. The only animus they have is we kind of warned you that there was legal exposure in your efforts to destroy this guy that we also like you we would like you to destroy, but we just disagreed with your tactics. So we're going to kind of slap you on the hand and be more discreet, George, but don't change your attitude about Trump because that's coming from the top. We despised him, and we want you people, whether you're moderating debates or whether you're presenting the news, we want you to be prejudicial. That's what our brand is. And then the other thing is,
throw money at this problem.
Yeah, when you look at the Megyn Carroll case, that was of all the 5 criminal, I think, and civil suits, was the most egregious because she had to get a special sympathetic New York legislature to pass a law that suspended for 1 year the statute of limitations on supposed sexual assault. Then she refiled it. And then when she refiled it, she was asked, what year did it take place? She didn't know the year. Then she tried to adjudicate the year by saying, I had this designer dress. Then people came out and said that dress was not in existence when you cited that. Then she gave these weird details. And by the way, she had said in text messages that Donald Trump and The Apprentice, that was a celebrity that she liked. But she gave details that she said she couldn't remember, but they were eerily very similar to a Law and Order episode in which one of the people in that episode, and I watched it, is in the same department store and then invites a celebrity into the dressing room, and he said, she said, transpire, and then she's in a courtroom up against the celebrity. And I'm not suggesting that she just made it all up, but she might have had embroidered a lot of those details. So, and then the judge himself, and I think this is one of the reasons that Stephanopoulos was emboldened about the cases. You remember, he mentioned the word rape once, and somebody corrected him. And they said, no, it's a matter of sexual assault. And he said, well, they're kind of similar. And that's one reason I think that, Donald Trump, I don't know what was the ruling $73 million for this, this really bogus civil suit. It was over 80. I think one of the
it was over 80.
Yeah.
But it was very clear. And that was based on his defamation because he continued to say, no, she's a nutcase. It was $5 million for the alleged sexual assault. But here's what's crazy. Like, it's crystal clear that the jury said no on rape. Yeah. They said no. They said yes on sexual abuse. And yet, here's what you get. Here's Joy Reid, the Albert Einstein of MSNBC, weighing in with her legal opinion. SOT 23.
For a man who has tried to claim that he is not interested in retribution, Donald Trump sure has an odd way of showing it. Just this week, he settled a defamation suit against ABC News for $15 million based on anchor George Stephanopoulos using imprecise language to describe what a jury found that Donald Trump actually did to Megyn Carroll, namely sexual abuse and defamation.
Imprecise. She doesn't point out, he said 10 times that a jury found him civilly liable for rape. And I'm looking at the jury form right here. Question number 1. Did Ms. Carroll prove by a preponderance of the evidence that Mr. Trump raped Ms. Carroll? No. Question 2. That Mr. Trump sexually abused Ms. Carroll? Yes. It's right there, black and white. It is not imprecise. It is, what's the word? Oh, yeah. Wrong and actually defamatory when it's repeated another 9 times on top of that, with the executive, producer of the show saying, George, stop that. It's wrong.
Especially when and I think the statute requires knowing intent. The intent, when you look at that tape, was to hurt Donald Trump. And he knowingly, as you said, lied, but he did so with the intent. It wasn't that he was just sloppy and he kept repeating a meme that he didn't really think about. He did it deliberately, precisely, emphatically for the purpose of defaming Donald Trump. And he did it because he felt that the people who hired him would maybe disagree with, as I said, with the language, but the overall gist of what he was saying, they agreed with. And when he looked at the political landscape in which he inhabits, he understood that it would be acceptable, if not commendable, that type of venom. And that's what happened with the whole media. And again, getting back, I think the Shorenstein Center said at one point 90% of all the media coverage was anti-Trump, and yet he survived it. And then that was another thing that was really wonderful about the election, that all the traditional barometers of what supposedly makes a candidate win or lose, overwhelming media positive coverage, 2.5 times more PAC and campaign money, all the proper celebrity endorsement, they meant nothing. Trump got free publicity and the millions of dollars with his stunts. He brilliantly got people like Joe Rogan and Dana White. When he walked into the Madison Square Garden with that menagerie of Dana White and Kid Rock and Joe Rogan and RFK and Hulk Hogan and Speaker Johnson, that was the most eclectic group of people, and from all different classes and all different audiences. And that was worth 10 times more publicity than a neon sign in Las Vegas they paid for, or an endorsement from a multi-billionaire like Oprah, or Obama jetting in from one of his 4 mansions and talking down to people. And that was what I think one of the real lessons of the campaign was.
For those of us who have been holding our breath for the past several months, we can finally exhale in the wake of this presidential election, right? Work can finally be done on the major issues that this country's facing, and one of the most significant is our national debt. Look, the fact is our nation's broke, and that debt is a house of cards that cannot be quickly dismantled by anyone. So the strategy remains the same when it comes to your investments. You might want to diversify your savings. Virtually all the experts say that's a good idea. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control and out of our president's control that it really can be important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you if you would like to convert all or part of an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, which is like a hedging of the bets. And the best news is it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. You just text MK to 989898 and you get your free info kit. And plus right now you will receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased Silver Eagle coin. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.